Hey, Sarah.
Hey, Molly.
Did you hear about our coupon code for our podcast listeners?
No, tell me more.
Well, we have an inner strength meditation on our website at a discount for our podcast listeners. All they need to do is put in the coupon code podcast at checkout.
Ooh, now that is an awesome deal. Hey, Molly.
Hey, Sarah.
Aren't you forgetting something?
No. What?
Our services, silly?
Oh, yeah. They might want to know about that, too.
Right. You can book a group healing session or sign up for an upcoming class on our website.
Hey, Sarah.
Yes?
Can you remind them how to spell the butterfly connection?
Absolutely. It's the Butterfly Connection, spelled KINECTION.com.
Thanks so much. And while you're on there, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest.
Yepers.
This podcast is part of the Soul Zone Network. Hello, hello, it's Molly
and Sara
from thebutterflyconnection.com.
We're all connected and we're not alone. What if you could rebirth your soul, spark movement in your life, and reconnect with your authentic self?
Join us each week as we connect with Source to answer the burning questions that lie deep within us and gain clarity and wisdom to soar to our greatest potential. Welcome to the Butterfly Connection,
where the kinetics of your soul will give you wings to fly.
This is BK38, Living Fearlessly, Motivation. Hello, hello, it's Molly and Sara.
Hi, everyone.
Thank you so much for tuning in with us this week. I hope you are all having a wonderful new year thus far. And speaking of New Year's, we thought today would be very fitting to talk a little bit about keeping yourself motivated with the goals that you have set for the year. Now, I know it's very popular at the end of each year and the beginning of a new one to set some goals and intentions, and I hope that you have done that. I think it's incredibly healthy to set some goals and intentions. And as we talked about last week about reflecting upon the old year and creating rejuvenation. Well, this was actually 2 weeks ago, and talking about rejuvenating yourself for the new year. I think it's time now to dive a little deeper. And what can you do to keep yourself motivated and on track to continue with the goals that you have set for the year?
Yes, absolutely. And this idea of goal setting and motivation is more than just, going to the gym and getting yourself a gym membership. And that's definitely important. I think that motivation it's more about your mind, your body, and your spirit. Those three things, because the three of them in balance, a state of alignment, and is what puts us peace and joy. And if one of those three things or all of those three things are not in alignment with the other or at all, really no motivation can occur because there is something lacking. There's something that's not being taken care of within you and within us when we, fall off the bandwagon or we don't put ourselves first. And it's a great time to talk about it because it's the new year. So it's really important to think about this. What is it that you feel you are giving yourself this year? What are you going to give yourself this year? What are you going to allow yourself to believe you can do? And I think that's where motivation starts.
Yes. And in being motivated, part of motivation is doing things that can help you to stay on track. So I know some of us do really well with keeping a calendar and writing things down in the calendar. A lot of people are going out and purchasing planners to get on track. Or, of course, you can do that electronically. I know me personally, sometimes I do better if I'm physically writing it down in my own handwriting. It kind of sticks with me a little bit better. So that's something that you could do to stay on track. And even if one of your goal settings is to, say, meditate every day, which is something for your mindset and for you, you can write that down. Pick a time that works, like 10, 20 minutes in the morning maybe, or something like that. And I think it's important in talking about staying motivated. There are going to be times throughout this year where things will happen in your life that will kind of get you knocked off the bandwagon. And it's really important to remember that part of motivation is being able to pick yourself back up and getting back into the routines that have quality and value for you. In saying that as well, I also want you to remember that the goals that you have currently set for yourself may start to change shape and look a little different throughout the year. And make sure that you're allowing that to happen. Because remember, as we continue to grow, sometimes goals we set 6 months beforehand need to change a little bit in order to continue with the growth that's occurring.
Yes, absolutely. And as you were talking there, Molly, I was just thinking to myself, what if you're someone out there who hasn't set any goals yet? It's awesome advice what you gave. And I'm thinking, what if you haven't set any goals yet? What if you haven't even begun to even think about what this year was going to be for you? And I wanted to give you a real quick visualization, something that you can do. It literally could take you 5 to 10 minutes. So you want to find a quiet place to sit away from any distractions. And you want to have a journal handy or a piece of paper handy so that you remember what it is that you saw. You want to focus on your breath for a few minutes. And then what you're going to do is you're going to imagine yourself 365 days from the day that you do this. So you're sitting in this quiet space and you're going to imagine what you look like, what you've accomplished, how you feel, just a general overall, what is it that looks like to you? And I want you to sit in that thought. And if you're not sure what you look like, then you could also focus on what are some things that, or experiences or situations that might come to your head, might pop into your head. This kind of an exercise is like opening up a blank book and allowing the story to be written right in front of you. And really, if you think about it, that's what the beginning of a year is. It is a blank slate. It's a blank book. So I think it's important to sit down and be quiet with yourself, because I feel like the goals are already there and the yearning of your soul is already there. But maybe you just haven't given yourself the time to sit there and quiet everything so that you could hear what your soul is trying to tell you. And so that's a really quick visualization that you can do. What are you going to look like? How are you going to feel? What kinds of things do you see yourself having accomplished 365 days from today, or whatever day you choose to do it? And then take your pen and paper and then write that down. And in essence, you just wrote all your goals.
That's a great idea in visualization. So thank you for that, Sarah. And while Sara was talking about the visualization that she offered with seeing yourself 365 days later, and what did that look like and feel like? If you try this and you're kind of almost still drawing a blank slate, because that could happen if you don't have anything in mind as to what goals you want to set. Another thing that you can also try is the reflective part. So reflect upon 2018 and think about some of the things that you were grateful for in accomplishing or in your spiritual growth. And think about some things that you might have said, wow, I wish I could have gotten that done this year or last year, or times during last year where you were like, wow, I really wanted to do that, but I couldn't, or I didn't have enough time, where other things were more important and this kind of got pushed to the wayside. If you have anything that comes to mind while you're thinking about that, make sure that you take a piece of paper and write that down. And really, if this works a little bit better, I still want you to go back and do Sara's visualization. So if you tried the visualization and you were still drawing a blank, reflect upon last year and things that you would maybe like to continue the growth with, or things that you maybe did not get done due to just other things that were more important. And then once you write those goals down, go back and do that visualization again and think about what it looks and feels like to accomplish those goals this year.
Exactly. And then going back to what Molly said earlier, then you can take to paper and write yourself out a schedule and decide what it is that works for you or that resonates with you. And it could be something as simple as just taking a walk a couple of times a week, or meditation. And I know we've talked a lot about self-care in the past, so I feel like we all already have the tools. We already know what our bodies need. We already know what our minds need, and we already know what our spirit needs. It's just a matter of whether we're willing to face that and put that first. And it also, to me, thinking about things that are good for me, that makes me excited. That makes me kind of thinking about wiping the slate clean and getting a fresh start. And everyone always talks about that in the new year, getting a fresh start, trying to start things that you had maybe not finished last year or have just started completely new. But motivation itself is a mindset. It's that you make up your mind to do something and then you actually follow through with it. I was just having this conversation with one of my piano students, and he was asking about learning how to sight read piano music, and he was struggling with that. And sight reading piano music isn't really something that, you can teach someone how to do. You can give tools for that, but I think that really applies here. You could give someone tools to do something, but whether they choose to use those tools or not is entirely up to them. And motivation is the same thing. So I told my student, you just have to make up your mind that you want to do this, that you want this to be a goal this year. And if you make your mind up to do that, I will help you to do that. So that's a really good example, I think, of, okay, what is it? What do you want to do? And then you make a plan to make sure that you can execute it.
Great example. Thanks for sharing. Also, as Sara was talking, I keep getting the same message in my brain over and over again. And this goes back to the very beginning of this podcast when Sara talked about a lot of times when we set goals for the new year, it has something to do with going to the gym or eating healthier or putting better foods in our bodies. But the main thing that keeps coming to my brain over and over again is, how are you feeding your soul? How are you feeding and fueling your soul? And this is an extremely important thing to reflect on, because if we are feeding our soul, we will have the motivation needed to do all of the other things that we want to do. Because our soul is just as thirsty as our bodies. And we need to make sure that we are giving it what it needs to stay motivated and to stay on track and to continue to grow.
Exactly. And if you're thinking, well, what does that mean? Or how do I feed my soul? You have to ask yourself a couple of questions. What brings me joy in my life? Who am I? And what am I proud of about me? What is it that I would like to be for myself, not for others? What is it that I would like to be for myself? And how can I spread my light and my love outward? Because when we feed our souls, we are giving ourselves the nourishment needed to provide us with what we need. But in turn, that nourishment is like a wave that pops out of us, and we inspire others. That's why you go to the gym with a friend, or you start a diet with a friend or family member, because you motivate each other. But you also have the motivation within you to do it yourself. And I think that's part of the feeding of the soul, because if you don't believe that you have the ability to do it, it won't happen. As I've said before in the last podcast, you have to believe it. And then once you 100% believe it, that's part of the feeding of your soul, because you are giving yourself the fire under you, so to speak, to say, yeah, I don't need anybody else to tell me what I need to do. I know exactly what my soul needs.
Yes. And the biggest message I got for this new year is that we all need to live fearlessly. And in feeding our souls, we can live fearlessly. And living fearlessly, to me, is doing what you want to do in life. And by doing it, you're not allowing other people's thoughts, opinions to creep in. If you want to do something, go do it fearlessly. Stop thinking about what everyone else might think or everyone else's opinions. If you know in your soul that you are supposed to be doing something, then go do it fearlessly. Feed your soul and be fearless in everything that you do this year. And you will be so amazed at how much your soul will grow and how happy and connected you will feel. I know this is something that I am going to be practicing on a daily basis, is living fearlessly.
Yes, I love that so much. And, I'm sitting here in my downstairs basement looking at the word believe. Living fearlessly is about believing in yourself. It's about trusting yourself and trusting the process. It's about having faith, and it's about knowing and manifesting anything that you want and being able to do that. And I think that's part of living fearlessly, is being able to manifest what you want. And if you can get to a point where you're motivating yourself, as we've talked about in this podcast, that's the next step. You've motivated yourself. Now you can go and you go out and do it, and you could do it fearlessly and just watch as the abundance comes in. You won't even believe it. The magic will just flow in, and that's what we wish for all of us this year.
Yes. And we are going to be helping you to stay on track in our Facebook group. So come on over to the Butterfly Connection Facebook group, and we plan on having some lives in there to help keep people on track. We plan to start sparking more movement this year. This is going to be the year where we really want to show you how to live fearlessly while we are working to do that as well.
Absolutely. And I hope that you will also check out our free Soul Reflection Challenge. It's a journal exercise that goes along with every podcast that we do. And I think it's a wonderful way to reflect and work through your stuff so that you can get to a point of feeling that you can do this because you can, because we believe that you can. So head on over to our website and check out that link. And we also have an awesome meditation, the Inner Strength Meditation, available there. If you use the coupon code podcast, you can get that at 50% off.
Yes, absolutely. And check out our services as well on our website, thebutterflyconnection.com. We have lots of information over there. We are here to do whatever we can to support you in your growth this year.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you again so much for tuning in. May you have an amazing, fearless, motivated week.
Yes, many blessings to you.
Thank you for listening to The Butterfly Connection with Molly Ray and Sara Courtney.
Look for Soul Reflections Academy on our website, thebutterflyconnection.com, and sign up for our free Soul Reflection Challenge.
We would love to hear from you. Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes and Google Play and give us a review. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest.
And join us next week for another soul-connecting conversation.